Tough talk from former Raven Ray Lewis about last April's unrest in Baltimore. And this morning, a WJZ exclusive. Jess Kartalija with Ray Lewis's powerful message for young people in our city.
April 27th, Baltimore descends into chaos. Riots erupt across the city just hours after Freddie Gray, who died while in police custody, is laid to rest.
Where were you when you saw what was happening here in Baltimore?
I was working out, actually, and I never forget when I came back up, I'm like, what? Like, how do I got this many texts? Like, what is going on? Come here, come down here, you got to come stand in the middle of the city.
Social media posts trigger nearly 100 students to leave school early, filling the streets near Mandamon Mall. Violent kids throw rocks and bricks at police in riot gear.
What do you say to these kids?
Yeah.
And what do you say to these teachers and these parents? What do you say to them?
We have a real problem if we let kids dictate what's going to go on in this world. If you're a parent, go back to being a parent. If you're a true teacher and you really mean it, go back to teaching. I'm not talking about the X's and O's on the boards. I'm talking about, no, you will say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. No, you will not speak a certain, no, you will not wear your pants a certain way. It's simple mathematics. If you're in the neighborhoods, no, you will not stand on the corner and do that. I will call the police myself right now.
In a YouTube video, Ray sends a powerful message to rioters.
Violence is not the answer. Violence has never been the answer.
Then, with former coaches and teammates, he visits schools in the areas hit hardest.
You are an icon in this city, and with that comes incredible responsibility.
It really grabbed my heart to say that it was up to me to do what people look for me for, and that's hope, man, and that's, you know, really it's a humbling thing, because, you know, people really look for me to, like, save their lives. Some people think football is stressful. Trying to convince people not to kill each other, that's a whole nother mentality.
What about these kids that say there's nowhere to go from here?
I said that a few times. Yeah, I can relate. And I said, I can give in to this, or I can make things better for my family. And I believe the real challenge is that kids don't want to challenge themselves no more. That's where the fire's left, right? If you really want to do something, check your own resume from the inside, and then ask yourself a real question. Are you okay with the hand that you were dealt? What makes you special enough to quit? Because the real story is found on the other side of pain. That's what glory is.
Jess joins us now, and Jess, listening to him speak in your story, I feel inspired.
Yeah, it's hard not to be inspired, which is why he gave those great locker room talks, right? And he just gets everybody so fired up.
So you asked him, what's next?
Yeah, so I said, okay, you've had this incredible career, obviously. You've written a book. He's very young. What's next for you? And he's like, oh, I'm just getting started. So it's really interesting. I think he said that, you know, ultimately what he wants to do is really focus on the next generation and what he's going to do from here on out to help. And so many people during the riots in April, you heard in the piece that he says, you know, my phone was going crazy and people are calling and texting and they're like, Ray, you've got to get down there. And he said, you know, it's such a responsibility for him.
Yeah.
And he has so much love for this city that though he considers everybody as children. So it's really nice.
And when he talks about the youth in your story, he's tough.
Yeah, he's really tough.
And he's a father. So is that the same in his personal life?
Totally. And that was so funny. I'm reading this and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, Ray Lewis is giving like really great parenting advice. He talks about how at 10 o'clock at night he has to put it, you know, all the kids have to bring their cell phones and put them on his dresser.
Really?
And they're off. And he said, you know, it's all about being a parent. That so many parents these days are trying to be friends with their kids. And he said they have enough friends. They need parents and they need role models. And I think it was just really great advice. The book was great. It wasn't what I expected it to be. I don't know if my preconceived idea was, but it was really a great book.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, it's also really interesting too because he talks about, and I don't want to give too much away in case everybody
wants to read the book.
But he talks about his wrestling career growing up, and then he talks about football, and he talks about what felt like a greater accomplishment to him. And I think everyone would say, oh, your, you know, big retirement party when you went out, you know, winning the Super Bowl for the second time. And that wasn't it. So I think it was really interesting, and I think people would find that interesting.
So even the most diehard fans are going to learn a lot of new things from
a lot
reading this
about
book.
him, and I came out of it with a lot of respect for him.
Very cool. Well, that was great that you got to sit down and talk to him.
Yeah,
that was
that's
really
great.
cool.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.